People like to believe that kindness is the highest virtue, that generosity earns loyalty, and that goodwill guarantees respect. But history, psychology, and human behavior tell a very different story. Respect is not born from softness. It is born from power. From the earliest civilizations to the modern world, humans have always gravitated towards strength, authority, and control. This is not because people are evil, but because they are instinctive. At a primal level, the human mind seeks safety, certainty, and direction, and these are found not in kindness, but in power. Kindness can be admired, but power is obeyed. Kindness can be appreciated, but power shapes behavior. When people encounter strength, they adjust themselves. When they encounter kindness without strength, they test it. Machiavelli understood this reality centuries ago, not as a cynic, but as a realist. He observed people not as they wished to be seen, but as they truly were. He saw that humans are driven by self-interest, fear, desire, and survival. In this world, respect does not come from being liked. It comes from being unshakable. When you are kind without boundaries, people see opportunity. When you are kind with power behind it, people see authority. Power gives weight to words. Power gives consequences to actions. Without power, kindness becomes a request. With power, kindness becomes a choice. Human beings are constantly scanning their environment, consciously and unconsciously, asking one question: who holds the power here? This happens in workplaces, relationships, families, friendships, and leadership. The moment someone senses weakness, uncertainty, or excessive need for approval, respect begins to erode. People may smile, agree, and even praise, but internally, they downgrade you. They test limits. They push boundaries. They take more than they give. This is not cruelty. It is instinct. Nature does not reward vulnerability without strength. Nature respects force, clarity, and certainty. Power does not mean cruelty. It does not mean aggression or dominance for its own sake. True power is the ability to influence outcomes, to enforce boundaries, and to remain emotionally unmovable. Machiavelli warned that rulers who rely solely on kindness place themselves at the mercy of those who do not share that kindness. People promise loyalty when it benefits them and abandon it when it does not. Fear, on the other hand, is consistent. Fear of consequences, fear of loss, fear of authority. These forces regulate behavior when morality fails. This is why systems function not on goodwill alone, but on rules, enforcement, and consequences. Consider this deeply. People respect what they cannot easily ignore. Power cannot be ignored. Kindness can. When you always forgive, people stop apologizing. When you always give, people stop appreciating. When you always bend, people stop respecting your spine. But when you stand firm, when you enforce standards, when you're willing to withdraw approval or access, people recalibrate their behavior. Respect emerges not because you are harsh, but because you are solid. You become predictable in your strength, not in your softness. Machiavelli never said kindness was useless. He said it was dangerous when unprotected by power. The mistake most people make is believing that good intentions are enough. They believe that if they are fair, patient, and understanding, others will respond in kind. Sometimes they do. Often they do not. The world is not governed by intentions, but by incentives. Power shapes incentives. When people know there are consequences for disrespect, they choose respect. When consequences disappear, respect dissolves into convenience. Look at leaders throughout history who were loved but weak. Their reigns were short, unstable, and filled with betrayal. Compare them to leaders who were feared but decisive. Their systems endured. Their authority remained intact. This is not because fear is noble, but because fear is reliable. Love is conditional. Loyalty born from affection lasts only as long as comfort does. Loyalty born from respect and consequence lasts even when circumstances change. In everyday life, the same law applies. In workplaces, the person who is endlessly accommodating is often overworked and undervalued. while the person who sets firm boundaries is respected, even if not always liked. In relationships, the one who fears loss the most loses power, while the one who can walk away commands respect. In social dynamics, the individual who controls their emotions and does not chase validation becomes influential without trying. Power is felt before it is spoken. Machiavelli's psychology teaches that perception is reality. People do not respond to who you are inside. They respond to who you appear to be in action. If your actions signal strength, decisiveness, and independence, people treat you accordingly. If your actions signal dependency, excessive empathy without boundaries, or fear of conflict, people respond with dominance. This is not personal, it is mechanical. Human behavior follows patterns, and power is the strongest signal in that pattern. True power begins with self-control. The person who cannot control their emotions cannot control outcomes. The person who reacts emotionally hands power to others. The person who remains calm, measured, and firm becomes the axis around which others adjust. Machiavelli admired this inner discipline because it creates outer authority. When people see that you are not easily shaken, not desperate for approval, not afraid to enforce consequences, they feel something deeper than affection. They feel respect. Kindness without power is hope. Power with kindness is leadership. When people know you are capable of being firm, decisive, and even ruthless if necessary, your kindness gains weight. It is no longer seen as weakness, but as restraint. Restraint is respected only when strength is known. A tiger that chooses not to attack commands more respect than a deer that cannot. The choice matters. Power is about having options. Weakness has none. Machiavelli also understood that humans remember pain longer than pleasure. They forget favors but remember consequences. This is why power leaves a deeper psychological imprint than kindness. This does not mean you should seek to harm, but it means you must be willing to enforce limits. Boundaries are invisible lines backed by power. Without enforcement, boundaries are suggestions. With enforcement, they become law. If you want respect, stop trying to be liked. Stop negotiating your worth. Stop over-explaining your decisions. Speak less, but act decisively. Let your consistency build reputation. Let your willingness to walk away build leverage. Let your calm refusal build authority. Respect grows where certainty lives. Power is certainty made visible. Machiavelli's lesson is uncomfortable because it contradicts comforting illusions. We want to believe the world rewards goodness automatically. It does not. The world rewards strength first and goodness second when it is protected by strength. This is not pessimism. It is preparation. When you understand this, you stop being exploited. You stop being disappointed by human behavior. You stop confusing kindness with weakness. The highest form of respect comes when people know you are capable of severity, but choose fairness. That balance creates authority without cruelty. Power does not corrupt. Lack of power corrupts kindness. When you have no power, kindness becomes submission. When you have power, kindness becomes leadership. So understand this truth clearly. People respect power more than kindness because power governs behavior, while kindness depends on character. Not everyone is character, but everyone responds to power. If you want to move through this world with dignity, influence, and protection, build strength first. Control yourself. Control your standards. Control access to you. Then, when you choose kindness, it will not be ignored. It will be honored.